G'day, friends and fans. Welcome to Writing Corner. I'm your host, the author, David Applegate, author of the books The Boyhood Arcade, Power Games, and Into the Owl's Mound. Now, before I begin, I'd like to remind you that this channel is sponsored by you, the viewing audience. So please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Check out the links in the description below, and of course, become a patron at the end of the show. Please and thank you. There's patrons that bring you these broadcasts, not sponsors. No, my patrons are the sponsors. Writing better characters. Of course, today we're going to discuss development of an antagonist. However, first, going to share out the links. We're live on YouTube, Rumble, and X. Sorry for being so slow. I'll be bear with me a moment, just sharing up the. Here we go, sharing out the links. Are we live on? Are we live on Rumble? Yes, we are. We are live on Rumble. Good. We're live on Rumble. We're live on X. We're live on YouTube. Great. I apologize for being late. Of course, come on. Right. Just checking that we're live. Yes. Right. Well, when it comes to developing antagonists, you actually do a lot more work than you do a protagonist. Heroes are easy. Villains, they take work, and evil takes a bit more work. See, folks, real evil doesn't know they're evil. They don't think themselves as evil. It's a justification of the ego. That's exactly what they do. They paradoxically seek to justify their actions, where they use virtue to hide who they are. They not just hide who they are, they lie about who they are. So, folks, evil doesn't see itself as evil. Now, this is brought to you by my Patreon. And full article is here up on my Patreon. 7 days early release before it goes public. most common motive is revenge. It's for perceived minor, often for perceived or minor wrongs. Evildoers will justify that their excessive violence or their excessive reactions as justice. Characters, your deep psychological scars or wounds. I prefer wounds than scars. Yeah, deep psychological wounds. Those bizarre goals. See, it only makes sense to them. And, they're willing to engage in human sacrifice for world peace, That's how bad they are. Throughout history, revolutionaries have always just been on a crusade to undermine the establishment or the system, only to turn out to be just as bad as or just as flawed as corrupt. Mob violence, thrill seekers often cloak themselves in politics to create outrage mobs, to cause mass destruction under the guise of protecting and justifying themselves as the voice of the oppressed. Evildoers, they tend to be honest and rarely evil. Now, this is strange, but deep down they know they need to hide their dark tendencies. They've convinced they need they need to convince others that they're justified. Hence, they cloak themselves in virtue and causes. The villain is motivated by personal gain, okay? Need or greed. But evil, on the other hand, it's driven by the thrill or joy of seeing other people suffer. They're deeply unhappy with themselves, and they may see anyone as evil, boring, or foolish. They look down on. They justify it, right? You're evil. That's why we hurt you. We have to torture you because we have you're dishonest. Now, a villain is typically motivated, right? Whereas, they're not necessarily their personal gain. So they're not necessarily. There's no. So they're not necessarily going to have any hatred towards the victim, right? Whereas evil, they're characterized by deep-seated hatred towards others. There may be a group, it may be many, it may be everyone, but they are motivated by hatred. Now, the 7 deadly sins: greed, gluttony, sloth, lust, wrath, envy, pride, this is hubris or vanity, are the oldest motives for evil. And they're often claimed to be oppressive virtue. If you don't think pride is a motive, or hubris, or vanity, look up Lady Bethany. She killed over 700 women for her vanity, so they could bathe in their blood to maintain her beauty. Or sloth. Oh, that's the most vile predators of society, where they justify their themselves, where they sit on a huge, vast empire. If they themselves didn't build, they got others to build it for them. Napoleon. Most companies aren't built exactly, are built by the shareholders and the money of shareholders. Often, your major corporations today are built off the backs and labor of the taxpayer. Folks, it's easy to think in linear terms, but the most common motive of them all are the 7 deadly sins. Okay, it may sound religious, but I'm talking from a pure psychological point of view, that throughout history, you can find many a psychotic who's motivated by greed or envy, wrath, a multitude of them. World War II, the villains of history themselves. The most common motive, revenge, is wrath, And it, if you look deep down, you base your villains on real life people, you'll you will recognize individuals whose motives are easily translatable to inaction rather than just outright calling them evil. That is the best way, rather than calling somebody evil. And see, a lot of we used to cartoon, the bully, Darth Vader. He's a cartoon villain. He's not evil. As much as you despise the man, he is nothing more than a violent bully, motivated by his pride. He sees himself as the most powerful. He's robbed. He's cheated. He's unfairly treated. He's just what he's deeply unhappy with himself. He's insecure, and such a cartoon villain is very, very the reason why he's called Vader. He is the Lucas's own projection of his deep-seated loathing of the father figure, himself is a reflection of himself as the tyrannical director behind the scenes. The so-called creative genius is merely a flawed plagiarist. And people have become very aware that most Hollywood directors often took the work of others, and because they're and basically it's this they take advantage of society's skewed relationship with actors and directors over writers. And this dates back to the French Revolution, if you believe it or not. The Jacobins, a branch of the Freemasons, who were under Robespierre, created by Robespierre, became obsessed. Actually, they weren't originally created by Robespierre. He joined them, but he created the Jacobin movement out of them. That was for the cause of one of three groups, and the actors being one of three groups, that he saw them as downtrodden and oppressed. He cloaked himself in virtue by claiming that actors are misunderstood and underpaid. This is why they're overpaid today. The society has been conditioned to overvalue the actor over the writer. And this is over time. The actors have gone from, minimum wage to some of the most overpaid stuffed shirts. And ironically, instead of bringing us the best, it's merely just the most emotional. And of course, as we see, a lot more actors have only one emotion, either resting bitch face or hyper cheerful. Some are, very good at facial manipulation, if to give a better range of emotion. But they're always, there ain't that many actors. The majority of them are screen presence, eye candy for the gullible who misunderstand the actions of the actor to be that of the actor and not of the director and writer who created the character. Yes, the director does play a role in the creation on screen, but they're merely interpreting what the writer has created, and there's a skewed outlook. And until writers are far better represented legally and socially and given the credit they are due for being because they are the ultimate creators of art, folks. Writers, people who draw, they do the real creation. People who paint, they're real creators. Actors do not. They're secondary artists. They thrive off the creation of others. And producers and directors are tertiary. They may create art, but they cannot do so without the writer and the actor, and so without the producer and the interpreter. So, ultimately, it's just the fact that films and video is, or even audio is, it's sloth, isn't it? We read it's easier than reading. So for some reason, because it's easier than reading, we value it more than the actual written word. But if you look at where most of our creation and most of our imagination comes from, and our warmest memories are often the books we have read rather than the movies we've seen. So thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please support the channel today. You can make a donation through Ko-Fi, become a patron, buy my books, buy my merch. Please and thank you. I shall see you all in the next video. Bye for now.